able to categorize, but that actually breaks down the whole social structure because we naturally categorize. Okay, I have to say, like, for example, I'm naturally categorizing, you're lighter than this person or not. And that's not to be, it's just a categorization. Now, it can become bigoted. There's no doubt about that. If I say, you are lighter than that person, so I like you and I don't like that person, that's wrong. But it's natural for people to categorize. We have to as human beings. That's what nouns do. Nouns give us the ability to compartmentalize things and categorize things. That's why Adam is the Khalifa, because he can organize things and understand their place like no other creation can. Now, we're going to look at this then. Why was Allah given nouns, and why is this so important for us to understand our place? So, if anyone's done a bit of this, the brain is dual. It has two hemispheres. Do you know about this? So you've got right hemisphere and you've got left hemisphere. Okay? And then here's the body. It looks more like a snowman, doesn't it? But, okay? Now there's three ways we experience the world. We experience the world through thoughts, through emotions, and through sensations. Yeah? And emotions and feelings, I'll talk about that a bit actually, what's the difference. So when I come, say it's freezing outside today, I'm experiencing that as on the three levels. There's emotions to it, there's sensations to it, there's feelings to it, emotions to it, there's thoughts to it. So when my body's cold, like, you know, and I'm shaking outside, that creates an emotion, doesn't it? So if I'm feeling cold in my body, I'm not happy. There's an emotion, yeah? That creates thoughts. Why did I buy this jacket? And you know, you basically go everywhere with your thoughts now, don't you? So it started with a sensation that moved to an emotion that moves to thoughts. Is that clear for everyone? Then I come into this room and now it's warm now. So first of all, I experience that as a sensation. I start to feel warmth in my body. That creates an emotion. I feel happy now. That creates thoughts. You know, and you start thinking about the situation and everything. So you're primarily a sensation, and all animals are built upon sensations primarily. And that's in the body. Sensations and emotions are felt in the body. Okay, when I say sensations, I mean things like heat, cold, heaviness, lightness, tingling. Yeah, not anger. This is not a sensation. That's an emotion. Okay. And then, so babies, when they're in the womb with their mother, they primarily experience the world as sensations. And they've got some basic emotions, but not thoughts. They're not in the womb thinking, wonder when my next meal's coming, you know. Well, come on, can she hurry up, you know. Babies don't do that, do they? Okay? So our primary way of experiencing the world is sensations, okay, which is in the body, that move to emotions, that move to thoughts. So what happens is, this is the way it comes. So here's an experience. It goes through the body. It's a visceral experience, how you feel, experience of your organs and all the, you know, and then it goes to the right hemisphere first, primarily, okay? Now, the right hemisphere is really interesting because the right hemisphere, and I'm going to give you a list now. I did a talk on this. You can look at it. It's called the body matrix or something. Just put Idris Watt's body matrix. But this is the part of the brain that develops first. Babies have a developed right hemisphere way before a left hemisphere. This develops later. So the right hemisphere deals with what? It develops first. It focuses on the moment. It doesn't relate to past and present. Past and future. You're in the moment. Babies are in the moment. Okay? So, and they focus on relationships as well. The right hemisphere is interested in relationships, how you relate. It's open to new experience. So the right hemisphere wants to experience something new. It's constantly stimulated and curious. It's in touch with its body. So if you think of animals, their right hemispheres are far more sophisticated than the left hemisphere. They're all in their body. And this is really important. The body wisdom is your intuition. So you know, if you're in a car and you have a near accident, when you react, are you thinking about it? Your body literally kicks in, doesn't it? And it swerves. If you actually thought about it, you'd probably die. And so you have to trust your body there. And basically, you've got no choice. It shuts down this part and basically just goes into automatic. Yeah? It's in touch with the body wisdom. It's open to the bigger picture. It looks at everything as one. It looks at the broader picture, the right hemisphere. It enjoys the moment. It's absorbed in the narrative of the story and feels that it's real. So you know when you're watching a movie, your right hemisphere feels it's happening. So and you can experience this. You know, if you see a scary scene, your body reacts to it, doesn't it? You get all your hairs prickle up, you know, stand up. It's because your body's feeling this is real, okay? While your left hemisphere is saying, no, this isn't. So it's absorbed in the narrative. So when you're watching that movie and you're going, oh, oh, and you know, so you feel like you're that, you know, that Bollywood queen, whatever she is, and you know, and how could he break her heart, and then all these things. That's basically your right hemisphere is kicked in. And this is the limbic area. It's all emotions. So because you've got your prefrontal cortex, which is your thoughts, you've got your limbic area, which is the emotions, and then you've got your brain stem, which is all sensations. They call this the reptilian brain, the mammal brain, and this is the human brain, the thoughts. Okay, these three areas. Now, music and film, arts, they speak to the right hemisphere. So that's why music's so it's powerful. And I remember a scene when I was in Morocco once. There was a gathering, a dhikr gathering, and there were some guys that were not into the dhikr. They were like from a Salafi sort of background, so they had their arms like this. But the dhikr was really musical. It was like really, it had a groove to it. So their feet were doing this. So their upper body was saying, "This is wrong. I'm not happy with this," but they couldn't help tapping their foot. Does that make sense? That's how powerful music is. So it can be used, it's dangerous. It can be used for positive or it can be used for negative. So, you know, if you're listening to this like gangster thing, you suddenly start doing this, don't you? Because you feel like basically, it just naturally bypasses your thinking. You just say, I'm with this, okay? So that's the right area. It has an overwhelming sense of oneness and connection to reality, the right hemisphere. So if we basically numbed the left hemisphere and only had the right hemisphere, you'd stare at your belly button all day and just go, whoa, dude. You know, you'd just be completely absorbed in the moment, okay? It sees relationships as a means to connect, empathize, and cooperate. It wants to, like a baby basically, if you think about a baby sees everything as itself, as an extension of itself. It's all about it, isn't it? Okay, that's because it can't really separate itself from everything around it. It just sees you should be serving me, basically. But also it does, when it develops, it empathizes and connects and wants to cooperate, and it's active in the world. It wants to have fun and engage. That's the right hemisphere. So it experiences it and it sends it to this. However, then what happens is that experience then is sent over to the left part to make sense of it. Okay, so you have all these experiences, but then you have to be able to, how do I actually act now on that experience? So if we just use our left brains, we'd basically be just upset with everybody. You know, we'd be just going along with our emotions. But then our left is basically saying, hang on a minute, how do I have to act now upon these experiences? Does that make sense? So what's the left do? And this is, both of them are not, there's no wrong or right here, both are needed. So the left hemisphere develops after 6 months around. And this is, they say, you know when the left hemisphere is developing because the baby starts to reach out for things. Now that's profound because it's trying to grasp things. And we say that if we want to understand something, I can't grasp it. And so you notice a lot of things in our life, we experience things and we don't know how to make sense of them. It's because our right brain, our left brain hasn't been able to basically get a grasp of it. And why do you think in Islam we're encouraged to use the right hand? Because the right hand's connected to the left hemisphere. You know your limbs, so your left side connects to the right side and your right side's connected. So what we're teaching ourselves here in Islam is you shouldn't act until you've made sense of everything. Okay, by using the right hand, okay? Because that's a leader. Like if someone's responsible in a responsible position, they should think before they act, okay? Because the left hemisphere focuses on past and future. It doesn't live in the moment, okay? It's only thinking about past and thinking about future. It focuses on individual needs. It's very selfish, okay? Which is necessary. You know, like if you're in the plane and there's turbulence, do you put your mask on first or your baby's mask? Baby's. No, you're not. Yeah. She's in her right brain. Yeah. You can't help someone until you've exactly. It's opposed to new information that contradicts with past information. So if someone's trying to convince them of something and they're saying this doesn't match what I've accept before, it goes in and out on it. It doesn't like new conflicting information, the left hemisphere. Okay? It sees the body as a machine and distrusts it. So it's basically, I'm going to think, I don't go with my feelings. You know, there's people that are all about, no, we don't deal with feelings. It's like an Englishman, basically. You know, I remember one husband, him and his wife were sitting in my house, and he said, darling, remember, we don't go with emotions. I said, that's why your relationship's a mess. Because if you completely dismiss emotions, you become cut off at the body. You're always in your head. You know, people that basically spaced out and they're always just thinking in their thoughts and stuff, it's because they're disconnected from their right side. They've put their emotions and needs to the side, and that disconnects you from your body. And so you're only in your head. And this is a modern phenomenon. It's a big problem. Because we don't use our bodies anymore like people of the past did, do we? We're sitting in cars, we're like, you know, we're using pen, we're on a computer. We don't use half our body like the past did. And so it's as if you don't use it, what happens? You lose it. And so we become disconnected from our bodies. And the West is all about this, if you look historically, because it was all about giving up on the body. You know, like European Christianity was all about denying the body and not giving it its needs. And what happens? You become disconnected. If you turn away from your needs, you become living in your head. And you see all of this, you distrust it, and you see it as a machine. It focuses on details, not the bigger picture. You know, those people like, you said, you know, and they go right into the detail. You're saying you're in your left brain at the moment, my friend. Okay? They focus on goals. So that's your manager at work, who's an office, you know, the target-driven manager. He's in his left brain. And he focuses also on performance. Yeah? Performance, goals. Yeah, that's basically a left brainer. A left brain, it can separate itself from the narratives. You know, when he's watching a movie, like my dad, we'd walk out the movie and say, that was unrealistic, that was. You know, while the kids were saying, that was wicked. Because they're in their right brains. And he's in his left brain. So he was, for the whole movie, saying, doesn't make sense, doesn't make sense, doesn't make sense, yeah, instead of enjoying it, yeah, because the movies aren't supposed to make sense all the time. He sees world as a separate from itself. So it sees everything else as an object that they use for their own needs, okay? It sees itself as separate from everything around it, okay, which is necessary. You can't act without that. It sees relationships as a means to an end, okay? So basically to use. Okay, and I say again, it's important this, but it becomes excessive. And it's far more passive and observant. So you know the kid that doesn't want to play the game, it wants to sit and say, and then the other kids say, come on, come on. I don't want to, I don't want to, stupid this is. But then 5 minutes once he's into the game, his right brain's kicking in now, and he's like, whoa, and he's playing the whole game, okay? So this is basically the left and the right, okay? And what happens is, if you deny your needs, you cut them off at the top, and you're left in your left brain, and you're ignoring the right, and you end up becoming really disattached and not connected to your world. But at the same time, if you're only in your right, you need the left to be able to articulate. And people who can't articulate their experiences, they feel very disattached from the world. They talk about people going to depression when they can't express themselves. And that's what's so beautiful about Arabic. It's the most expressive language. It's the language that articulates things in the most precise way. So it gives us meaning and it gives us purpose. And that's why Adam was given this language in order. Okay? Now, just to go on to a last point then, to finish it off. If you think about the world map, here's the West. This is a generalization, it is, but here's the West, here's the East. Right hemisphere, left hemisphere. Here's the Kaaba. So the world is an expression. The West, the West became obsessed with Hellenistic, like Greek philosophy, all about thought, wasn't it? While the East is generally about experience. If you look at Buddhist tradition, Hindu tradition, and so forth, it's all about experience. They're focused on experience. The West is all about understanding, using. So this is a generalization, a sweeper state, but also, the East is very much more of a communal society. It's all about the collective, not the individual. Does that make sense? Whilst the West is all about individual, okay? And And then the Kaaba is like the center, it's like the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is a tissue, a muscle tissue, that separates the two halves. And what the goal is that we get a balance between these two sides. And most of the time we're at extremes of both sides. We go from all emotions to no emotions, okay? And what we want to gain is more of a balance between the two, which Allah describes in the Quran is that between the two seas is a barrier that they don't surpass one another, which is an allusion to this. And so Islam historically was a means to balance these two, to bring the best of the West and the best of the East. And what I say is the role of the Pakistanis today is because they come from an Eastern tradition where it's all about family, isn't it? But now they've moved into a Western society, it's all about the individual, and we're struggling to find that balance, aren't we? Like, especially for people from a really strong village mentality, because it's really hard to let go of that. But if those people can find the answers to harmonize those two extremes, they will provide answers for the West, because the West is a mess, because it's all about the individual, and they haven't got the family anymore. And so, but the East is the other extreme. It's all about family, and it's about harmonizing those two. So I believe the Asians can provide the answer. Okay, the Mirpordis can do it. Okay, I believe. Okay, they can solve the issue for the world. Okay. Okay. I live in Keighley. I live in Keighley. Any outsider gets traumatized. So does that make sense? So this is about the fact that we were given names, that we were able to articulate things, but after the experience. Because notice, Adam was soil before he was given the ruh. So we have to accept the body, because it's our essential nature. But the soul comes in to give it like a completeness. And to be able to, then he was given names to be able to articulate what the experience is, so that he can judge and assess the situation and make the right course of action. Then he can be a leader of the people. Okay? So that's why nouns are so important and names are so important, because then you can actually work with them. Does that make sense? So I think that's very profound, that. Okay?